So, welcome to Outdoors HoodCraft Survival. We are gonna just keep answering questions that you guys left. We won't be able to get to them all, but we might do a second episode, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any more questions, you can leave them down below. So, the first question is...
So VT GoPro asks, are all these woods just in your backyard?
So, essentially, yes. All these woods technically are, in my backyard, kind of. What I mean by that is I live in the woods, so my house is dead center in a giant woodland and giant forest, and so technically I do live in a rainforest, so we get tons of rain every year, and we're about, I just ran to my house and back, and it took me about a minute there and a minute back. So that's about how far I am from my own house. So yeah, essentially these woods are very close to my house, and I do live in a very beautiful country, a beautiful state, and a beautiful area of that state, Oregon. And there's not very many other places I would like to live rather than where I do right now. So thanks for the question, it's a good one.
So VT GoPro also asks, what's your favorite knife?
My favorite knife is my Becker BK9 made by Camillus. So it's not the K-bar version, it's the Camillus version. I did a whole video on it if you want to check that out. It's very rare, and it would cost a lot if it's still in brand new condition, which it's not close to. It's all around my favorite knife. I do use it quite a bit, and it's just one of my favorites. I love the looks of it, I love the feel of it, and I love how it performs. But the knife I do use the most, it's not my favorite knife, but it's the one I use the most, is my Mora Companion. So that's the green version, OD green handle and black handle. That's the knife I use the most in the field because it's so good at just carving. And so it's the one I use the most for all my bushcraft tasks. If I'm just practicing and I'm not deep in the woods, then I'll use that one at home. And especially for carving spoons and bowls and whatever, I use that the most. So that's the one I use the most, and my favorite, if I could only have one, for the rest of my life, it would be my Becker PK9.
So Abe Lincoln asks, what is your craziest camping experience?
So my craziest camping experience, I would have to say, is one I did with my friend. I don't go camping too often, really. It's not something I do because mostly I just don't have anybody to go with. I don't want to do it alone, and I don't have anybody to go with, but I would like to do it, every weekend if I could. Is the one I did a video on. So you guys can go check, I did a video on, it was called Backpacking, Bushcraft, and Squirrel Hunt and Cook. So we ended up killing a squirrel, or my friend did, and, we cooked it up, and it was really, really good meat. Probably some of the best meat I've ever had from an animal, I'm not gonna lie. Squirrel meat apparently is very, very good. And so that was a very crazy experience. That was something I'm not really used to, and it was just really fun, and I learned a lot. Mostly what not to do from other people. I learned what not to do. But that was definitely a crazy experience, and that was definitely very fun. So you guys can watch the video on that. It's like 25 minutes long if you guys want to go see that. It's earlier on in my channel. And so thanks for that question. Was there another one from him?
So Abe Lincoln asks, what's your favorite camping meal?
Okay, my favorite camping meal. I've thought about this earlier, and it's definitely a good question. My favorite camping meal by far is Mountain House meals. They're biscuits and gravy. Honestly, that's the best camping meal I've ever had. I did have it on when we did that video, the squirrel hunt video. I had it during that trip, but I didn't film it because we ran out of battery or something like that, or it was really early and I just wanted to eat something, so I didn't get the camera out. I don't know exactly why, but we didn't film it. And that was definitely by far the best camping meal I've ever had. So Mountain House meals, biscuits and gravy is very good, and it's definitely worth a purchase. If you guys can find it in your local store, it's worth having on a camping trip, backpacking, hiking. It's good enough just to eat at your house, really. I know some people that just eat it at their own house, and because it's so good, it's worth just eating for dinner. And so I would definitely recommend that as my favorite meal. Thanks for the question.
So Abe Lincoln asks, how did Adam get so good at filming?
So I'll bring my cameraman on here to explain that to you.
This is slow. Okay, so how did Adam get so good at filming? I guess it's just a gift. I've never really had any. I've had classes, but they weren't very good. So, yeah. And I've learned a lot from my brother and just by watching movies. If you just watch movies and see how they film, and yeah. Or if you really want to see how you can film well but unprofessionally, just watch music videos. Yeah.
So EDC Adventures asks, what got you started in bushcraft/survival?
What got me started was early on. I used to play airsoft in the woods, so I would come out here and with my big group of guys, all dressed up in camo, and we had our goggles on and our hats, and we'd have airsoft guns. If you don't know what those are small toy guns that shoot little pellets out, and so we would run through the forest shooting each other. And that's where I learned, started sort of in bushcraft and survival, is I started carrying a first aid kit for wounds. I started carrying a knife because I saw people on TV wearing a knife, and so I was like, I want to carry one. And so that's sort of where I just got started in that. That's what brought this all about, was I spent so much time in the woods that I wanted to be prepared if anything went wrong. I just had an interest in it, What is that plant? What is that plant? What's that tree? What's that tree? How can I use that? How can I use that? So then from there I started carving traps and building forts and doing all sorts of different stuff. But it all started with airsoft. I did have a brother who was heavy into, or I still have my brother, but he was heavy into photography, so outdoor photography at that time. And so he would take pictures of me and my friends all in our camo gear, and when we would build a shelter, he would take a picture of us in the shelter, and then we'd carve a spear with our knives. He would take a picture of that, and it was just kind of cool and fun just to be out in the woods with my brother and then my friends, and that was a very good time of my life, and that's what got me started.
Okay, EDC Adventures also asks, what is your favorite thing to learn in those fields?
So in bushcraft and survival, I think you mean. My favorite thing is probably, right now it's, it changes. I got into carving for a while. I'm now getting back into that. And right now it's probably photography. That's where I'm heavy into right now. The last week or so I've been trying to learn as much as possible, and something I really want to get a handle on and get good at is photography. So you guys can check all my photography out on my Facebook page and then my Instagram account, and eventually I'll probably start a website. And that comes with making YouTube videos. My cameraman has taught me a lot about photography and filming and all sorts of different stuff like that. And so right now that's what I'm trying to learn. A while ago in spring it was plants, and then the bow drill and firecraft, and it just kind of changes throughout the year. And throughout the summer it was mostly plants. I was trying to learn the Latin names for different plants, what's edible, what's poisonous, what's medicinal, how I can use that, where I can find it, and that's what I was trying to learn over the summer and through the spring. But now all these plants are going to rest, so I want to practice photography because it's such a beautiful time of year right now that photography is very popular, and so I want to try and get into that right now. And so I hope that clears that up for you, and thank you again, EDC Adventures, for all your comments. They're all very helpful. So next question.
So Prep For It asks, how are you and your community dealing with that drought? Do you have a bug out location you could trek to? Thanks.
Okay, so thank you so much, Prep For It, for all your comments. They're all very wonderful. And everybody, Abe Lincoln, EDC Adventures, I just want to thank all of you guys for all your comments on, almost all my videos. It's very helpful and it's very appreciated. And I hope it's fun for you to get mentioned in one of my videos. So I do appreciate your guys' comments, and they're very helpful. So thanks for leaving all of them. The drought. So by now, it's November right now, and it's cold. You can probably see my breath. And it's very wet out right now because it's been raining, like just pouring rain for the last week. And so the drought, essentially it's over. We still need probably more rain technically. From the Forestry Service, they're probably saying we need more rain to properly saturate the ground. But we have been getting a pretty good flood in our river right now. The river level has really risen, and that's been because of the rain. Now, having to do with snow on Mount Hood, we don't have nearly enough snowpack, and not as much as we've had over the past 50 years. I mean, the amount of snow that was on the summer, on Mount Hood during the summer was like none. And so the snowpack on there still needs to build up, and that'll hopefully build up over the winter, because our community sort of relies on skiers and snowboarders coming up from different states and all around the U.S. and even from different countries to ski and snowboard on Mount Hood. And so hopefully the drought completely goes away and we get a little bit more rain and more snowpack over the winter on Mount Hood. Did we have a bug out plan? Not really. I mean, we're kind of in the dead center of it, so bugging out, I mean, wherever we would go, there's going to be a drought. So, I mean, for me, that's not really been a huge priority. If I lived in the city, yeah, I would have definitely a full laid out bug out plan. But, I mean, where I live is where people would be bugging out too. And so since I'm already here, I don't really have a full on bug out plan. And that's just how it's been. So, I mean, I do keep that in mind, but it's not something I dwell on too much. In my area, it's more of just kind of like a fantasy. In some areas, it's very, very important to have a bug out plan. But in my area, it's not so important for me. Although something could go wrong here, I do need to leave. But hopefully that doesn't happen. So, the drought is essentially over. I hope it stays that way. I hope we don't get another one this winter. And so that's going to end it for this video. I hope you guys are glad to hear me answer your questions. I hope I answered enough of them. I will hopefully answer more in later videos if they're important. I'll try and get to them. Thank you guys for all the questions you left and all the comments you give on my videos, all the support you give to my channel. I'm always trying to grow my channel as big as possible, but I'm happy where I am right now. And so thank you guys for all the support. It's very much appreciated. We will see you in the next video, hopefully, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.